Hi there, I'm Dave Marks and welcome to episode 3 in my Rutbusters series. Because it's episode 3, we're going to talk about how the number 3 can be used in your practice and your writing to freshen up your playing. So, 3 is the magic number, according to a song. If we take a grouping of 3 notes, the simplest way that we can rhythmically represent that is as a triplet. So that's 3 notes in the space of 1 beat. So the beat is split into 3. Here's an example of a Blueberry Hill style backing track I made with Justin Guitar Jams. I'll just give you a little chunk of it so you can hear a really obvious triplet bass groove. 1, 2, 3. So you can hear in that how each beat is split up into 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, ba do da do da do da. So that's an obvious. If it was straight, it would be going ba do da do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So they're quite different feels. We hear triplets in basically anything that has a direct link to African music is going to have lots and lots of that shuffly, swingy 3 in it. So triplets are quite easy to feel, pretty straightforward. Let's take a quick look at a C major scale played just in triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that shouldn't be too challenging for you. Triplets is an easy, even rate, and playing up and down it through our C major scale should be pretty straightforward. We want to try and approach it from a slightly different angle, so let's change the rate from triplets to 16th notes. So instead of 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4, we're going to have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Now, when we look at that, we're subdividing each beat into 4. So we'd have 1 E and or if you want 1, 2, 3, 4. We can take the first 3 notes, 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and that gives us a different rhythm. So instead of 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and. So we get something different. I'll show you the notation for that and a little close-up, and I'm going to play the C major scale using that first 1 E and 3 16th note combination. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's fairly straightforward, so let's look at another variation. We have 4 16th notes there, we skipped out the 4th. Let's skip out the second one this time. So this, instead of 1 E and we just get 1 and So the rhythm feel is 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. And to hear the difference, if we started with 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Here's a close-up C major scale with that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the third of our possible variations skips out the third of our 4 16th notes. So we have 1 E, and it sounds like 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. Again, C major scale, close up, here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you got that down, and it's fairly straightforward, those 4 different rhythmic fields just need to be integrated into everything you practice. So maybe take that scale, run it through all 12 keys, run it through your minor scales, run it through your arpeggios. There's loads of different variations you can do. And you could take anything that you already practice and go back and reapply triplets and each of the different 16th notes. So you've got 4 variations to work with there. Let's do something that's technically a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to take the D and G strings, I'm going to play a 3-note grouping on each, and I'm going to use the key of G major, let's say, for this one. So I'm going to go from the lowest note available on each string and go to the highest note available and back down again. So in the key of G, I'll be starting on D, E, and F sharp, and then G, A, and B. So let's go in for a little close-up on this one and figure out how we can apply the first, which is our triplet rhythm, to this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Triplet rhythm is probably the most straightforward because it's nice and even. Let's take a look at the same thing, but we're going to use our broken 16th pattern. So the first one is to skip out the 4th 16th. This is 1, E, and. We're going to play the exact same part, but the rhythm's going to be subtly different. Again, the slower you play this, the more obvious the difference between the rhythms is going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you've got that under your belt, let's go for the second 16th note variation. This is where we remove the second 16th note, so we have 1 and a. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, let's remove that third 16th note so we get 1 E, a. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Let's look at some advanced rhythmic concepts using our grouping of 3 notes. So normally when we subdivide 3 notes in a beat, we get triplets. That seems obvious, that works fine. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now if I was to take 16th notes, which if we remember from earlier, there's 4 of them in each beat, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. It makes the most sense to accent those notes in groups of 4. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. What happens when we place the accent every third note? So we get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And I put 2 extras on the end. So if you think about it, 16 notes in 1 bar, 32 in 2 bars, 32 divides 10 threes and a 2 on the end. So I get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So that gives me my 32 notes. You can do this very subtly. You could do it with accents. You could do it where you take, for example, that 3-note per string major scale exercise and run it groups of 3, but a rate of 16th notes. So here's an example of what that would look like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully that's given you some fresh ideas for how you can approach 3 as a rhythmic number within your playing. If you're struggling with any of these rhythm concepts, put your bass down. I know that might seem a little counterintuitive, but start with clapping and speaking. All the way throughout this lesson, when I was illustrating things initially, I would clap my hands and talk the rhythm. And when I say talk the rhythm, I'm talking going 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So I'm able to accent and really draw out the dynamics of rhythm. I'm not going 1E and a 2E. And, like, you have to commit a bit. But the bass has lots of mechanical things. Which finger on which string and what note is that and which key am I? Like, there's lots of things that can go wrong. If you reduce things down to just speaking and clapping, you can internalize core rhythmic ideas. Then once you've got it inside where you can feel it really clearly, then put it onto your bass. Hopefully that'll give you some ideas to work on for the week. And if you enjoy the videos, please post video responses if you're using the stuff. Feel free to leave comments, like, subscribe, and if you want to be really amazing, you could help support me through my Patreon. I will put the Patreon down in the video description. If you can't afford to, then don't worry, the video lessons are free. They are, and they always will be. If you can't afford to give a little something, even if it's like $5 a month, that would be amazing. Those sorts of things build up on top of each other. It means I can create more educational content, share more stuff online, and you'll not only be helping me, but you'll be helping all of those bass players around the world who can't afford proper music lessons themselves, because they'll get access to this too. So thanks very much for your support, and I'll see you in a week's time. Take it easy.